Throw your hands in the air with the legacy lost. That means we have another qualifier, another qualifier, another qualifier. Order have joined the ranks.
If I go a bit
of
higher,
the
we
top
could
three.
like join arms together.
Sorry, I'll put them back up. No, quick. Right, now you go up, I'll go down. Okay, oh, too far. Beautiful, perfect. The connection of the boys. Now,
Glad we did that.
Look, so Order have qualified. Congratulations to Order. They are now in the playoffs, and that leaves one slot remaining. And the two teams we currently have about to play at match number 4 for the day, Chiefs and Gravitas, are going to be fighting for that. If Chiefs win one single game this week, they will take that final spot, and this could be exactly where it happens. But before we talk about Chiefs, let's have a quick look at Gravitas. We do have yet another team profile of these beautiful individuals.
I could describe Gravitas in 3 words. It would probably be exciting, chaotic, and unexpected. I'm a Zeus and I play for Gravitas and I play in the jungle position. So I think what's unique about our team is the ability that our players have in terms of their unique champ pools. So basically in jungle, I play way more unique abstract junglers compared to any other current jungler. And same with mid lane. Mid lane doesn't play the meta picks or the traditional meta picks. They play more of like a Ahri, Lissandra. Very unique champions. It's a confusing way of versing us because they don't know what to expect. And I think that's probably one of our strongest points of the team. Yeah. Since we're like a new team, we're trying to experiment and trying to find a way to kind of fit a way for us all to play together. Right now, I wouldn't say we have a specific playstyle, but the playstyle that I'd like to play towards is kind of the way that Pentanet plays, which is like a very slow-paced, scale, late-game team-fighted oriented game. Personally, I love to play comps like that, and I hope our team plays like that as well.
So my name's Nathan Bashaw. My in-game name is Koze, and I play for Gravitas as a mid laner. To an outsider, it might seem like, oh, it's just a game, like you don't need to really do anything. However, there's definitely a lot of dedication and hours that need to be put in. You'd be expected to, do scrims, VOD reviews, draft prep, so yeah. We're really trying hard to, prepare for Split 2 so that we can show that we've worked hard. We came Split 1, we had a rough start, we're new people, and we just want to improve for Split 2. Very much focused on, scaling usually. Our comps are quite good for scaling, or, team fighting while also having side pressure and deep boards for teleports, so yeah.
Who feeds the most? Depends on the week or the day. Probably Suffer has a bad day, it'll be Suffer. Yeah, sometimes Piglet can run it down. I think everyone, even myself, we can all run it down. It just depends on how we feel on the day, so yeah.
Probably Suffer or Jaden. I don't know, I just have the memory of him going 0 and 6 on Nah, I think.
One thing I do want to achieve in the LCO is to kind of prove myself, because this is my first split playing jungle. I was a top lane before, so show up to LCO, kind of prove myself and let people know that I have some potential in me. I think over the few years, that would be something that I would like to work towards, yeah.
It's more of a long-term goal to really present myself in Split 2 and show people what I'm more capable of.
We're looking kind of rough, where some games we do really well, but then we kind of fall off at the end. But I think if we work hard, and I'm motivated to work hard, I think we can push through, and I definitely think we can be like a medium to top tier team for sure.
Let's hope that it's one of the days where they don't feel like running it down, because Gravitas need this win. And then they need 2 more as well going forward for them to have a chance to get that 5th and final spot. Now, let's talk Gravitas. And oh my, is that a wild Thomas Shen in the lineup today, Jordan?
I mean, yes, that's what it seems like it is, Mac. And
wow.
I'm sure everyone is going to be quite eager to see what he's going to be able to do. Another one of the fan favourites. For Gravitas, it's going to need to be a bit of a super sub-esque situation, because this is, as you've said, a must-win match for them. I mean, it's not even just about this match for Mammoth, is it? It's about the rest of this week. It's such a tenuous prospect for them to get through to playoffs that, like, I almost think it's not worth talking about unless they win this game and then they win the next game. We get to Friday, we go, okay, maybe there's a talking point here. The real thing for me is trying to stop Chiefs from getting straight into playoffs right here and right now, because that's going to be the make or break for them. At least today, you got to focus on the small things and not the big things. And, if you let that whole concept of, oh, we need to win every game this week against some tough opposition, get to you, then that's probably a little bit too much. But take it one game at a time. Chiefs is a winnable game, definitely, for Gravitas. And you know, Gravitas have been showing us some interesting picks, some cool drafts and that kind of thing. So if they pull that out today against Chiefs, I can see a world where they might actually be able to beat the Chiefs, who at some times have been a little bit inconsistent and have come up with some weird things themselves.
I look at, like, they've put Thomas Shen in as Thomas Shen, whatever you want to call him. The person he's replaced was the star of the show last game that we saw from Gravitas in their win, was Piglet. So it is odd to me that, like, for whatever reason they've done it, I don't really know that, like, that's the player that has been gone, because Piglet and Isaiah were huge in bot lane together. So I'm just a little bit sad to see those two be broken up for this game.
Well, you don't suppose that he could be the secret weapon? I guess we'll find out anyway. Let's talk Chiefs quickly before we go too deep down the rabbit hole there of what Gravitas may or may not be bringing to the table. Speaking of bringing it to the table, Chiefs, they really need to do that today. Make sure they can secure that 5th spot. And Rusty, tell me, why Dragku looks so good and his arms are so massive?
It's just about the angles, first of all, with the camera and how you actually are able to prop your chest up and out.
Okay.
The lower the angle is, the creepier it gets as you get older, I will say. But for now, he's in the clear because he's got big biceps. But anyway, we're looking at the Chiefs roster. One thing that stood out to me the last time we saw them play, this was that game. You saw the one kill that they got just then, and that was it for the rest of their game. They got absolutely obliterated. PGG just went to town on them. It wasn't even close. Chiefs drafted basically just 3 losing lanes and a low-tempo jungler. And that's committing sins in so many different places all at the same time and doesn't give you a win condition. And I just worry when I watch this team play that they will continue to draft themselves into holes where they're not good enough players to drag themselves out of it because they're not PGG.
Well, let's see if Chiefs are one of those teams that draft themselves into the holes again, or at least maybe we can get Nat to ask them if they're going to play their own game or try to counter their opponents today, or maybe not, you know, maybe that's leaking strats, which, you know, Pentanet really loved to do earlier. Anyway, Nat, you know, take us down to the side lanes. Who do you have for us?
Well, look, I'm all about trying to get these teams to leak strats, but I'm going to be joined by Imboma and the very Thomas Shen that everyone in chat I know has been asking for and looking forward to getting on an interview. So I'm going to start with you. Thomas, you know, how you feeling? I want to know what the mood is down in the team, because there are a lot of stakes going on this game right now, and to have you subbed in, I'm sure the energy's pretty high.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I think for our team, there's a chance to make playoffs, but it's pretty low. So I said to my coaches, hey, how about you put me in and give me a shot, see how we go.
Is there still going to be a sense of like pride or accomplishment even if you guys don't make it to playoffs?
Yeah, I just want to show everyone what I can do and hopefully grab a few wins. Yeah.
Maybe add to the Thomas Shen montage. A lot of people are asking us to shut up and just play. But Imboma, how are you guys over at Chiefs? You know, it's still a very similar side of the story for you guys. You have to win today or at least another game this week.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty confident. We're actually just kind of recovering a little bit from last week. I think we had a lot of productive practice from like last week, and we got a lot of help from a lot of people to sort of look at some of the problems that we had and how to fix them, because I think our players are pretty individually like good enough to do better than we're doing in the standings, we think. So I was pretty happy considering like how badly last week went at how we bounced back from it, and everyone on the team is, you know, they have a good mindset going into potentially playoffs, but obviously we have to win 1 or 2 games to secure it.
What sort of prep have you guys been doing then? You say you're getting input from some other people, but how are the scrims going and how's the prep work?
In general for us, I think scrims usually go pretty well for us in general, regardless of whatever results happen on game days. I think that we more so took a lot of feedback from, you know, the casters, pro players, other people outside of the scene on how we should improve our strategy, our draft, even stuff like team play, I think, is something that we need to improve a lot on. And I think this week while we might not be like a perfect, well-oiled machine or anything, we've definitely stepped it up a little bit from what we've been doing in the past. And hopefully when playoffs come and, you know, for us to probably win the entire thing and go to Iceland, we'll have to make a deep run in playoffs probably, right? So we're going to take it as a sort of powering up through each stage of playoffs. That's kind of how we're approaching it, assuming that we can actually, you know, get the win in today or tomorrow.
Well, look, I am looking forward to seeing what you guys are going to bring to the table today. Thomas, I do have one last question for you as well. Similar question. What's the prep work been, and you know what goes on in the team when you guys make these subs? Like, is it a big change that the team has to get used to?
I think not really, because it's only like one sub at a time, and it's just that whoever's feeling or like feel like they can play better that week gets subbed in, and yeah.
Okay, well, I am looking forward to, I guess, both of you stepping up to the plate, and we're seeing how this game plays out. Good luck, and thank you both for joining me.
Thanks.
Good to hear from him. Thomas Shen, the legend. I was going to read the copy pasta, but I read it, and then I was like, man, look, that's something. That's real something. So I'm not going to read it this time, but, you know, good to hear from the man himself, Thomas Shen, and let's see what he can bring to the table. Now, looks like we're very close to the game. And you know what that means? It's time to put our money where our mouths are. And we can bring up the predictions in just a second. See where we are all leaning for the final matchup of the day. Nat, first off, all right. I heard from a bird that you and Rusty might have actually joined me on the underdog side for the final game of the day.
Yeah, I don't know why Rusty's gone for Gravitas. Like, I can't really explain
guys
his
are trolling.
logic. No, okay, I would like to say I'm not trolling. This is really hard for me because I think the guys on Chiefs are quite nice, and same with the Gravitas, right? I enjoy interviewing both teams. But, you know, you kind of do wonder, Chiefs weren't really making progress in ground that they have been earlier on in the split, and Gravitas potentially now has that confidence. Maybe they're on the up and coming, who really knows? I think, one, my heart really wants it to go this way because, gosh, what an upset that would be. But two, there kind of is that chance.
What about you, Rusty? Thoughts on this pick and why Elfish Guy is the odd one out here?
I'm just angry with the Chiefs. We're not on talking terms until they fix everything that's going wrong for them, so I just refuse to actually tip for them until they prove me wrong. I'm more than happy to be wrong with this tip. I just think that if they play like they did on Friday, it's a free win for Gravitas.
Ooh, a bit of spice being thrown into the conversation. Jesus. And Jordan, tell me, why have you gone for the Chiefs then?
Because they're the better team. I don't know what you guys are, you know, you're just pulling all these stats out, you're pulling out these storylines, you know, maybe they'll be better, maybe Chiefs isn't good, maybe Chiefs is struggling. Well, I tell you what, there is a reason that Gravitas is down the bottom of the table and Chiefs is not. It's because Chiefs is a better team than Gravitas. So I don't know why you're throwing your predictions away. I mean, I do, actually, especially you, Rusty. I really would have expected better from you. You know, you're supposed to be the expert here. You're getting out-predicted by me. This is just an opportunity for you to go, oh, you know, I was throwing my predictions away. I wasn't trying. Don't worry about it. So I'm going to be really tilted if this is the one I get wrong. That's all I'm going to say.
Shit out of that stuff.
I'm going to be so tilted if this is the one I get wrong.
I really hope this is the one.
I think if you look at the last, or like the second round robin, Chiefs have not been playing anywhere near the standard as they were in the first round robin. I think there really is some serious potential for this. I'm not saying it's something like 50-50, right? I'm not saying it's that close, but there really is that chance.
And it's a chance
Matt, I
and a risk
understand when you're behind.
that we all want to take. We all want to take it. And look, I just really hope we get to see that knocked fiddle combo again. But look, it's time to see if that's even a reality. Time for Champs Select. Final game of the day, Chiefs versus Gravitas. Boys, take us in.
Yeah, okay. Well, hopefully this one is going to deliver because it's certainly already delivered when it comes to the predictions and the discussions on the desk. But, I mean, we have to wait and see. You know, I agree with Nat. Like, I think there is an opportunity for Gravitas today, but Chiefs to me seems like the safer pick. So that's why I've gone for them. But, you know, Chiefs is one of those teams where sometimes they just don't look good and you don't know really why. So hopefully that's not going to happen today. Otherwise, I'll have a bit of egg on my face.
I just like, for what it's worth, I think that the Chiefs have shown that they're very capable of being a one-dimensional team. But that dimension is something that can be easily exposed by perhaps just the teams that are better than them. But then you start to look at their match history and you worry for them, right? They've lost 3 in a row, yes. 2 of them are to the top team, but one was also to Order where they got outscaled. Gravitas did that literally the same thing to Mammoth the other day. So I think it's possible. As long as Swathe doesn't run away with it, they could end up struggling. Or they start repairing those concerns that we have, which, like I said, I'm fully happy to be wrong, and they start actually playing multiple win condition compositions, and they stop giving Kisei this like blind pick trash mid lane matchup when he could actually be carrying and has a deep champion pool that isn't being used.
It is interesting that they've gone for the Ari
Weird
first
timing
pick.
on that statement, isn't it?
Very weird. I mean, I feel like you've got a vendetta. I mean, there's 2 champions I know that you don't like. It's Yuumi and Ari. All right, I'm sure there's a few more that you can have a rant about, but those are the 2 that crop up the most. One thing to mention before we get too deep into this pick ban, obviously the keener eyes have noticed that Chiefs have only taken 2 champions away. They did lose a ban for being a little bit late into the lobby from some technical issues. So it's not really a big deal. Obviously, you know, you only lose 1 ban. It's not the end of the world. But something to note, and we've got a Kaiser from Gravitas. No surprises there. Kassadin would surprise me.
Yeah, no, I just mean that the gauntlets being thrown is funny to me. Kyosei is definitely just an Ari player, like, or Ari one trick, through and through. And they've first picked Ari away from him, which is odd, because it's the way that I see one tricks, right, is not only are they experts of their champion, they're experts against their champion, because they know everything about it. So that's a confidence play. I am more okay with Ari on this current patch with Everfrost the way it is than I've ever been with Ari before, I will say, Jordan, as well. So I don't hate Ari as an option, but it's risky to just blind pick that first.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the argument is taking it away from Kyosei may be more valuable than you can really put into like an on-paper kind of thing. But, you know, Kyosei, I'm sure, is going to be able to pick up this Syndra and have just as good of a confident game. Now, here's something interesting, actually. We've got the Kalista coming through from the Chiefs, so that's going to be obviously down into the bot lane. I actually kind of like that bot lane, you know? You've got the Rel, hard engaged. Kalista really helps out in that respect as well, especially at level 6, and Kalista likes to fight early on in the piece as well. So this is going to be quite a difficult bot lane to deal with for Gravitas, I'd say.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's also something that they've willingly picked the Alistar Kai'Sa into, so Kalista's one of those champions that can trade very aggressively early. Rel is one of those champions where if you don't interrupt her W, she trades incredibly well early also. It's why you often see champions like the Thresh. Alistar can do it with Headbutt. Janna is the other staple choice as well to counter it. Kai'Sa, strong team fighting champion. If it gets there unabated in any way by Mboma and Dragku on their picks, then still just going to be a unit. Alistar's still going to be strong at level 6, but what this really means is that, you know, Mboma can use Dragku as a Pokemon, pull him back after he goes in, and if he misses, you know, it gives him an extra chance. Because Rel's one of those champions where if you make a mistake, miss your W, you're just waddling at 100 units.
Feels like a little bit of that Nautilus conversation we were having earlier. If you're in the fight and you're not hitting your CC, then probably not going to go too well for you. So perhaps a get out of jail free card for Dragku here, though. He's been pretty good on the Rel so far this season, so he might not need it. Got the Irelia ban coming through from the Chiefs as well, so targeting the top lane with that one. Interesting that the Nocturne is actually banned away by Gravitas. And they do get rid of Swaith's Kane there as well. So, I mean, I suppose those are jungle-targeted bans, which is fair enough considering what we've seen from Chiefs in the past.
Yeah, my first thought was Kisei's a mid-Nocturne player, so like I get it, but he's already first picked the Ari for himself, so it has to be away from Swaith in the jungle pool. Hecarim already removed, Udyr also gone. Lilia is available. Don't know if Swaith plays that, however. It doesn't feel like a Swaith champion. I think he would sooner go the Evelyn route for magic damage. But I guess we will find out.
Meal taken away by the Chiefs as well. So let's see what the next selection is going to be. What are we looking for here? A top laner and a jungler for Gravitas. Looks like the top laner is what's going to be coming through here. Sion plays into the back pocket of Safa. Has been on the Sion the last couple of games as well. It'll be 3 in a row.
Yeah, for better or worse, of course, he has been playing that Scion. He's also one of the few people that has been actively picking tanks in top lane alongside Biopanther. I'm personally a big fan of Scion at the moment. I think he's in a very good spot, so I'm not too surprised to see it. They also prioritize picking their jungler last. So they want to give Azus the best possible chance to out-jungle his opponent or have the best composition for him, because that is a pretty staple way to tackle the Chiefs, as this honestly is an odd, non-surprising factor if that hover is locked.
Well, I was going to say a surprising factor with the set being locked in. I don't think we've seen set this season either, so that's a selection that's probably going to go up into the top lane. Something to deal with. Ooh, Shaco support. Come on, let's go. Not going to get it. I guess it wasn't going to go anywhere anyway because we have an Alistar, but I love it from Isaiah. Either way, yeah, I mean, Scion into the set in the top lane could be a bit of an interesting matchup, but you were right about the Evelynn selection, so get that bit of extra magic damage coming through for the Chiefs. And a Rek'Sai, something that we also haven't really seen at all this season. Funnily enough, because I felt like Rek'Sai was in a pretty good place earlier on in the season. It's just not something that has been cropping up all that much in the jungle.
Yeah, you don't often get to see the Land Shark. Prowler's Claw is something that has been a massively enabling tool for her. So she has definitely been a powerhouse running around. Also, super strong early ganking, physical damage, just doesn't necessarily have the same clearing as a lot of the other meta junglers, and is nowhere near as tanky as them at all. So a bit more risk there. However, the matchup right now, Rek'Sai into Evelynn, is fantastic for Rek'Sai, because you stay unburrowed, the tremor sensors reveal the player regardless of them being invisible. So you are actually poised in a pretty nice place as long as you can track your jungle opponent. So you just need to have reliance on your laners doing okay, and you also have uniquely powerful gank paths as Rek'Sai. So Azus can really be the difference maker and start to snowball this game for Gravitas.
I'm looking forward to seeing this one. You know, I always like to kind of peek at the more off-meta kind of selections, you know, and I think we've got a lot of those this game, so it's kind of hard to say just from a draft perspective who comes out of this one with a major advantage. Obviously, with the Rek'Sai coming through, that's something new. You've got the set in the top lane, the Evelynn in the jungle. I mean, even Ahri and Kalista, like, we don't see a whole lot of, to be honest. So Chiefs have once again gone for one of these interesting drafts that we do like to see from them. And hopefully it's going to provide a good game. Again, what's on the line here? Gravitas must win if they want to make a run into playoffs. It would have to be a bit of a Gravitas glory kind of a comeback, because they need to win every single game this week and hope for the best with some of the other matchups as well going in their favor. Whereas for Chiefs, they get a win here. They'll be the final team confirmed into playoffs. As to where they'll end up, obviously that still remains to be seen. But top 5 going through to playoffs, and Chiefs are looking to lock in that 5th spot alongside the likes of Order, alongside Direwolves, Peace, Pentanet, who've already locked in their spots. We go into the final game of the evening, Rusty. Things are looking exciting. We've been seeing some good games, and hopefully this one will provide as well.
Definitely the case, of course, as we load into this one. The one thing that I quickly wanted to hit on as well, Elfish Guy, is the fact that we've got an aggressive jungler from Azus, and the recipe for success against the Chiefs has been getting ahead early, because they are strong mid to late game when they hit those team fights.
Indeed, indeed. And one thing that we do have to do as well is jump into a coach interview. We've got Valixis on the line here through from the Gravitas camp, and a few interesting selections in this draft, Valixis. I always like to quiz the coaches on the draft. So, I mean, the first question, I suppose, is the Rek'Sai here. Was that just in relation to, you know, the Evelynn, or what was this in terms of your prep? Was it expected, or is it just a spur of the moment?
Yeah, it was actually 100% expected. We know that, you know, Rek'Sai is a great counter to Evelynn. When he's burrowed, he can see where she's stepping even when she's invisible. As well as Azus is actually a ridiculously good Rek'Sai player. Not many people know it, but like in scrims, this guy just 1v9s. So.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, it's surprising to me, like I said, that we actually haven't seen the Rek'Sai all that much this season. I suppose this is the first time. Either way, what about in the top lane, right? The set, not something that we've seen a whole lot of, and that was picked into your selection of Scion. So is there any concerns? Because, I mean, typically, you know, you look at set as a bit of a tank bully in a way.
Yeah, definitely. The set is, you know, it's a good matchup into Scion for sure, but our main focus is definitely going to be around our mid and bot. That's where we're going to have a lot of our early game pressure as well. We should be looking to play aggressively and really punishing this Evelynn. If she should not be able to scale into the mid to late game. Like, we have like bot lane, they don't get early prior, but post level 3, there's heaps of kill threat down there as well for Rek'Sai to come visit and snowball the lead.
Yeah, definitely. I want to take a step back as well away from this particular game, but just the season as a whole. I mean, how have you and how have the team been feeling with the way that you know, Gravitas has developed over the split? Because, you know, we sort of saw you guys come in as one of the quote-unquote weaker teams, but obviously long-term looking, I mean, you'd be looking at next split as somewhere that you might want to sort of sit in the middle of the pack based on some of the interviews that we've seen from the players.
Yeah, 100%. Like all of the boys that we got in our camp, they're all very talented individuals with League of Legends. Just as a team, it's majority of people's first split ever playing like actual competitive League of Legends, like in a professional scene. So a lot of it is, you know, a little bit nerves, a little bit of unfamiliarity in terms of in a team environment, but we are focusing on actually playing as a team, creating an identity, and in Split 2, we are going to definitely be one of the stronger teams to contest the mid to top spots in the league. So that's our goal.
I'm really looking forward to it, mate. Thank you very much for the interview. We'll leave it there.
Easy. Have a good one.
You too. And we're hoping to see Gravitas have a good one in this game as well, Rusty. And Boma might be caught out. This could be interesting. Needs to jump over the wall. Does force the flash through. So an early win for Gravitas. Yeah,
I mean, early win in terms of summoner spells being used. They've lost a bit of priority in mid lane. They've lost a lot of CS in bottom lane as well. The Scuttle Crab was forced to be smoked, I believe. And top lane hasn't necessarily been doing the greatest in terms of its priority. A level 1 trade went desperately bad for Safa. And overall, we've seen a lot of cannons miss, so I've been quietly cringing for the first 4 minutes of League of Legends, Jordan. However, we have seen the Rek'Sai get more and more proactive. The one major miss there was that he didn't get to clear the Wolf camp as well, where the Evelyn did, so there is a CS lead starting to grow for the Eve, which means a level 4 full clear gets a 1 step closer to level 6 and gets a 1 step closer to being a really dangerous champion to deal with.
One other thing to note, as we are looking at the top lane here as well, is that Safa has used the teleport to get back up to top, has the item advantage right now, but still struggling in some of these trades. Obviously, that's where Set is going to have his forte. So, at the moment, teleport advantage for Lived. Safa can heal back on up with the pots, but yeah, definitely a rough top lane for a Scion to be in.
Yeah, it's just really hard to actually use your Q at all. Your Decimating Smash, you know, the ability that is often maxed by Scions, you can just get face breaked straight back in. So on those trade windows, it's very difficult. It's the second Qs where you start to trade back. Zeus has been consistently spotted by Vision as well, everywhere he goes. You know, the level 3 invade, he swept the ward. Scuttle Crab was spotted by 2 of them. Yes, they get a flash, but they know where he is. He comes bottom, they spot him. So this Rek'Sai struggling.
Well, Swaith is going to force the flash through, still gets the charm across. Safa in trouble. Doesn't have enough to survive. And we'll go down for first blood. That's opener for the Evelyn.
That's against the no teleport of this Scion. So the wave gets pushed in. Swaith is a greedy boy. He just took the cannon as well as the kill. Now, I'm not saying I'd AFK in a competitive game, but there are certain things that would make me tiptoeing on lines.
I don't think that's the first time, by the way. Wasn't there a situation where he went down and took a whole lane bot? A whole wave rather bot?
Absolutely. Has happened before. Will happen again. That's just the Chiefs. It's just reality, unfortunately. But he got the kill, so what can you say? He's ahead.
Ooh. This could be interesting. We got Azus down in the bot side of the map. Azaya gets the headbutt pole, followed up by the knock-up from Zeus. But Dragku has enough HP to survive even through the Ignite. Now an overcommitment from Gravitas. Azus will not survive. The auto coming through. I sort of had to second guess myself for a moment there because he did last longer than I thought he would.
Yeah, he did, but also he went like a light year too far. His whole team was disengaging. He just kept going. So gets picked off. I mean, expected, I suppose, in terms of results. The Chiefs with double teleport does make that a very difficult thing to execute. Swaith also now level 6 is going to be miles ahead in terms of jungle matchups as he's going to take away this blue buff again on its second spawn. And overall, Chiefs definitely in a comfortable position through the early game. A bit of respite, however, for top lane is nice to have. And, you know, bot's still farming up a storm as you would expect.
Swathe just hanging around. I
He
think he
almost-
just took another cannon, did he?
Almost. Dragku got
Almost.
it with the relic. I might have actually AFK'd for them.
He's really just trying to take everything at the moment, isn't he? He's saying, okay, I'm going to put the team on my back this game. Which I suppose isn't the worst mentality to have when you're playing Evelyn.
Evelyn does need resources. I will not contest that point. Livid is also about to spot them. Note the experience advantage for Swathe after that blue buff. Still, Zeus still not 6.
Yeah, the Rek'Sai really does come online as well at level 6. Bit of a extra execution tool, another gap closer as well, so ultimate very, very useful. Dragku's the roaming around the place, having a look, see what he can get done with the Rel, but nothing done in this instance. It's one of those things you like to see though, when you've got your ADC down in the bot lane, opponent's not there, not too much else to do as a support, so may as well just have a wander, see what you can see.
Going to beat down on him in top lane here as well. Livid most likely going to go towards the Stride Breaker build, so it does do a lot of trade damage when it comes to dueling right now, on a pretty low cooldown also, as you can see, so Safa definitely just struggling. Now, just to quickly reiterate that fact for everyone at home as well, Sion scales up health by last hitting minions. So the fact that he's gone for the Bramble Vest isn't a game changer in too much of a crazy capacity. We'll still get some extra bonus health from just last hits. Compensates nicely, and Set is a healing reliant champion who does need to auto attack and punch you.
Well, Chiefs have Cryo in the bot lane, Cryo in the mid lane, and so they decide that they're able to sneak away a pretty early dragon. Not too shabby. Not really a whole lot that Gravitas could do about it, if they even knew. Obviously, they would have had a suspicion. A few players go missing, you put 2 and 2 together, but yeah, not a whole lot they could do about it. Azus might try to trade the Rift Herald. Standing on a ward, though, does make you feel a little bit concerned that maybe someone's going to come and investigate.
Has priority though. Mid lane it has just completely pushed in and has freedom to move, is also moving up to top side. Top lane as well, as you can see, has pretty clear priority, so they choose not to do the Herald and instead they're considering a dive top lane. And the fact that he disengages from that afterwards indicates to me that they really didn't know what to do or if they could commit to it.
Yeah, I don't really mind the fact that he's disengaged there, to be honest. There's always the chance that Liv just turns around, pops the showstopper. Now you're a level 6 Rek'Sai that's under tower trying to dive a Set, which at the best of times is going to be difficult with his W.
He might just die.
Swathe arrives, and Azus very nearly dies to not a whole lot from Swathe, to be honest. So that's not a fun time either.
Yeah, basically guarantees the Herald. You can see that Zeus is going to be able to do the Krugs with Smite to get some health back, but the fact that he used his first Smite, luckily has a second charge if they were to consider contesting this one. So it's in the realm of possibility, but mid.
Oh, yeah, maybe not if mid goes down. Kyosei dodges the charm. Kyosei won't have enough damage post that fact. Here comes the ultimate through, though, from Azus. Not enough. Does force the flash, though, out of Kyosei.
Yeah, it does get the Summoner spell out of the Ahri. The Herald has been taken during that time, however. I think the fact that Sion ulted at the same moment would have terrified him.
Kyosei needs to have some fancy footwork here. You can't dodge that. Dragku goes deep. He says, I might take this kill, but Swathe decides to flash for it. I think the Ignite tick would have had it. Zaya does arrive from the bot lane, though, and all of a sudden the fight turns back on its head. Azus doesn't have Void Rush available, but it's not required. Huge damage coming through. And in the end, Gravitas score a 2-for-1.
Zaya proving to be a little bit too clutch on this Alistar. 2 games in a row now, does seem to be doing a lot of work for his team of Gravitas. Taking down the Evelyn, very important. Giving something back into the pockets of Azuz, even more important than that. But Dragku was the first person to leave in bottom lane by a significant amount of time. The Ignite and the fact that that Q hit does mean that they are going to be able to get the lethal with the flash follow-up here. Very nicely done from Zaya to make sure they get it. And Swathe, unfortunately, just gets run down, stunned, and that was the moment for Azuz without that ultimate to still catch them.
I mean, it's a bit unfortunate that Azaya actually has to take that first kill. If Azuz could have gotten both, Rek'Sai is one of those champions that does start to run away with the game when she gets pretty fed. I don't think that that would have been a securable kill, though, for Azus. So well done by Azaya. Dragku's back in mid. Charm connects. Surely that's a dead Kyosei. The follow-up very good from Dragku. And the fadeaway auto from Kisei. Daiku's just walking off. Cool guys don't look at free kills.
That was pretty much the second the ultimate was available for Aria. It's used aggressively. You've still got Dragu with permanent roaming apparently from the bottom lane. Not that he has priority in bot, but he still has so much freedom to move, and the punish is outstanding. And just nicely timed. Like, I'm sure Kyosei had a feeling that the Aria ultimate would have been available pretty soon, but you can't avoid that much crowd control.
That's a lot of plates for the Chiefs in mid. Azus not able to deal with the Rift Herald. Also teleport through from Kyosei as well, just to get back into lane and try and catch back up on some control. I mean, he hasn't lost a huge amount of CS out of that, but now down 0-2. Having a rough day at the office.
Yeah, and still... So the thing is, if you look at the minimap, you can see the control ward on the bottom side of mid. That's everything. You know, that's an Evelynn that can now walk in completely free because it hasn't been contested. That's a Rel that's been able to sit in that bush multiple times. And it's a really tragic ward that Kyosei has just placed because it provides zero information other than where the Rel is, who was visible on the map. So Sway abuses that, and it's on.
Yeah, Kisei will survive through Kyosei's damage, and once that has all been dumped down, there's really not a whole lot of follow-up that Kyosei can throw in there. So it makes life easy in the end for Swathe.
Yeah, it's just not a death that should be happening, but he also has no support from the rest of his team to prevent it. We just spoke about it, right? It's Chiefs using the vision they have to make the plays. It's not Gravitas working together to clear vision or deny those plays. You know, it's Zeus playing for himself. It's Kyosei trying to survive by himself, and so he just gets punished.
Pretty impressed with how Mboma's been going about this lane. Cast a curse, though, if I do say so myself. Mboma, I don't think you're going to be surviving here. Teleport even through from Safa. Might have been a bit preemptive, but it will be converted into a dragon, so at least they get something from it.
That was such tragic timing. Rel just went to base. I don't think they had any vision of it. Oh, no, they did. They have a ward in the tri-bush that would have maybe seen that. So pretty much perfect there from Gravitas if that's the case.
Yeah, well, Safa's in mid here, and Kisei might be forced to use a few ultis, perhaps, or a flash here or there. Maybe he'll just walk out okay. Never mind. Yeah, I was going to say, I was impressed with Mboma having gone, you know, 0-0 so far, basically playing a 2v1 lane for the majority of this game, but does get a little bit overeager in that one moment, and sometimes that's a really unfortunate feeling. You know, you've gone 15 minutes, you've said, okay, I've done a really good job, I've got through the difficult stage of this game, only to now die and just bleed a little bit more than I perhaps should have.
Yeah, and just give a little bit extra into the pockets of Thomas Shen, the Thomas Shen, by the way. Of course, has 144 CS, so farming pretty nicely. And with the Kraken Slayer complete compared to the components of Mboma, who will need to reset pretty soon, I would imagine, for that. It does give them a window of opportunity where perhaps they're stronger. And also, you know, realistically does give a win condition to the side of Gravitas. A Fed Kai'Sa with a bunch of crowd control in their comp is going to be deadly. Safa's farming up nicely for what it's worth in that lane. You know, we saw him getting hard pressured early, but he's been farming fine. Prowler's Claw is online for Zeus, so they're starting to hit those item spikes. And, you know, while their mid laner is basically not a champion right now, still has some CC, still can have some utility for the team, and the rest of them are in fighting form.
Bit of a lane swap. Gravitas have decided to put their bot laners into mid. Tends to be the way things go once you hit the mid game. Much easier for the mid laner to farm down in bot. A little bit safer than having the ADC down there. Plus it gives you the ability for the support to roam up to top as well. Have a look at the gold lead here, and there is a significant one in mid, 1.5k, which is not a huge surprise. Similar numbers in the jungle for Chiefs as well. So Kisei and Swathe really looking like they're in a good spot.
Oh, yeah. They're loving life, the mid-jungle of the Chiefs. Not a lot of tankiness there from the side of Gravitas, and a lot of very killable carries. It does mean that they can run away with this game. Safa's about to find them.
Well, I don't know if they'll want to put everything into trying to find this pick, and in the end, Safa's going to get out of there okay with the unstoppable onslaught, but the prio in the top lane is going to be difficult to deal with. Kisei shoved that tower and start to put some damage into it as well, and Safa still only now on the rotate up.
Yeah, he's also going to be facing down 4 people is what he would not know. You know, there's 2 people missing on the map, and he's still trying to clear this wave, so he's asking to die.
Yeah, he doesn't have the ultimate this time. Is going to flash away, but cops a bunch of damage through from Swaith. And that'll be that. Draku might actually die. No, he's going to flash out. Could have been interesting if he didn't have flash available.
Yeah, could have been risky. At the end of the day, he thankfully does. Kyosei, oh, he's also gone as well. This is going from bad to worse. The thing is, Safa shouldn't be dying top lane. He knows that he's not safe, and instead of backing away and just playing safe, maybe protecting the rest of his map, you know, this turret was probably just going to go anyway. He chooses to step up and die and give an extra 300 gold with the turret as it falls. And then Kyosei unfortunately just gets himself caught in a 1v1 where Liv had his flash up.
There is one bright spot for Gravitas, and that is Thomas Shen right now. 1-0-0, has a decent gold lead over Mboma. Oh, I say there's one bright spot. I would say Azai is actually another bright spot right now. He's been doing pretty well for himself. So if Gravitas can find a way to play around their bot lane, then again, there's a chance. Talked about that a few times tonight. Feels like a slim chance, but focusing on your win conditions.
I mean, here's a win condition for you. Kill the Evelyn. She's going to probably take all of the resources from Go to Woe. It just does seem to be the Swaith mantra. You find that Evelyn, you take that Evelyn down, and that's a lot of their gold.
Well, I'm going to say this is going to be a tough game to be an ADC player, right? Thomas Shen's going to have so many threats to deal with. He's got Liv that could potentially be coming around on the flank. Swaith, who you can't even see coming around on the flank. And then obviously Kisei will be diving on in there with Spirit Rush as well. Everfrost available too, so lots of CC to dodge for Thomas Shen. Azus is going to have to give up his blue buff. Once those mid turrets go down, really does open up the avenues of attack into the jungle, and so Chiefs will take advantage of that. As we do have a pause coming through here, so hopefully not too long of a one, but it's a good opportunity, I think, for both teams at this point to just sort of reset and figure out what they want to be doing, right? 10 seconds until Dragon. We're sitting in a position where both teams have got themselves one Dragon. There's a significant lead at the moment for the Chiefs. I suppose the one small silver lining for Gravitas is that a lot of the kills are on both of the AP champions, so it does make itemizing a little bit easier.
Yeah, especially
itemizing
for those
against
tanks.
that, I should say.
When you've got your Sion top lane that can build magic resistance, it's like when Sion builds, sorry, not Sion, Set builds Stride Breaker, maybe Blade of the Ruin King build and he can handle the Sion, but more normally you'll just see them build for team fighting. And in that case, you know, maybe you get the magic resistance as the Sion, maybe you are actually really difficult to take down. There is also the possibility, and I don't know how often this is seen anymore, is the Hex Drinker changes. Basically means that more of Malmortius is better than it was last season. You can have a shield up to like 600, 700. It's based off bonus health, I believe, now. So all of these carry champions that exist, even though it's the magic resistance, magic damage dealers that are fed on the side of the Chiefs, you might be basically able to nullify Eve's existence by simply having a more of the Malmortius. Because Eve is all about one combo kills, right? You want to charm someone, they need to die in that charm duration, or you die. But yeah, there's definitely some items to contend with that.
I mean, the longer this game goes, the more difficult it is going to be, I think, to mitigate the Evelyn. Obviously, we do see a Dark Seal coming through as well, and that's already picked up 3 stacks. So it's one of those sort of items that maybe you don't notice it get picked up, and then all of a sudden, the damage really just spikes for Evelyn. You look back and you're like, oh, she's got like 6, 7, 10 stacks on the Dark Seal. Or it's already a Mage Eyes, and you're thinking, oh, crap, this game might be over before it really gets rolling. And Evelyn is one of those champions that just sometimes you feel like she's not a huge factor, and then all of a sudden she's blowing you up one shot and you're not really sure where all that damage came from. So hopefully Gravitas is on the ball in that respect. They should be aware. You know, obviously a lot of gold has been going into Swaith, so they should certainly be keeping an eye on things there. Have a quick look back at some of the replays of the game so far. This was the opening kill, and I mean, it sort of is what started the snowball for Swaith, wasn't it? Because pretty much everywhere that Swaith has gone, he's been able to have impact.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was an early flash from Safa, so he tried to be as respectful as he possibly could be. But at the end of the day, he wasn't going to be able to get away from that one. and did start to snowball the Evelyn really far ahead. This was that second fight where Azus goes super deep, a little bit too deep for sure, and then overstays. And the Chiefs are able to respond nicely with double teleports. And at this point, you know, like we're 11 minutes into this game in this replay. You've got an Ari that's able to get kills on repeat, and you've got an Evelyn that's invisible and has vision priority around both sides of mid most of the time. So while this is nice return kills from Gravitas and good gold injection into their pockets, pretty much the rest of this, you'll just be seeing what happens when all of that vision advantage is going the way of the Evelyn composition.
Rusty, you're a smart man, all right? You know, I really appreciate your knowledge and analysis of League of Legends, but I do need an upgrade. So I'm going to bring Mac back into the conversation. I want to get some real deep, in-depth analysis from this game. So we've got to bring out the big guns.
Okay, I honestly thought you were going to say something different. Something like you're a smart man to Rusty, and they'd be like, so I'm going to bring someone back that isn't, and just bring me straight back in. But look, so I quickly decided I'd go down the road and grab dinner. But on the way, I saw Nectar, and I was like, man, how you doing? Oh, and he's like, here, I bring you a gift. So I've just been munching on the chicken, and I'm just fully, fully devouring. It was a good chicken, too. It's tasting pretty good. I'm almost up to the breast, you know, just going legs first. Probably best way to do it. Just, you know, good protein. So he raises a good chook, you know, good for the stomach.
I can't believe you. I mean, that's unreal.
Well,
that was like the
Nectar's
LCO
a great
mascot.
man.
That's a low blow, isn't it?
What do you mean? I have to tip Mammoth for like
You're eating
every
his chicken,
day now.
Mac. You're eating his chicken.
He gifted me the chicken.
It's his
What am I
pet chicken.
supposed
You've
to
just
do?
eaten it.
If someone gives you food, do you just say, nah, you know, you don't spit in their face and tell them to turn the bloody hell around, all right? It's a gift, and I am loving it. You know, it's good dinner. It's nothing wrong with it. You know, it's good, hard yakka from Nectar, and he's giving me a gift.
You know,
so,
I've had a pet
respect the
chicken
neck.
before. I had a pet chicken. It was a red one, and it was named Julia Gillard.
Well, that's
None
unfortunate.
of that was a lie.
Oh, that's all right. Well, look, I don't feel any worse than I already do for doing this whole bit. Anyway, we do have a clip from the fans as well, which we are going to quickly look at, because apparently we need to change topic quickly. Thanks, Rusty, for making everyone feel bad at home.
Oh, yeah.
But look, no, well, Mr. Making Everyone Feel Bad, tell me why this is such a good clip.
Well, we're going to find out, because I haven't seen the clip before, but from the looks of it, it is a Vayne just constantly tumbling around and making some outplays. So that was 1v4. 1v5 now, as the Olaf has decided to, you know, take the gambit, and knowing he'd lose that one, give the Penta.
There you go.
I will say, he was on 16 kills before that clip, so that makes life a bit easier.
Can I quickly ask, can we like turn this from the fans into a guess their rank and see if we can guess what rank they're
Do we
playing?
know
Or
the
if
rank
it's
of the
just
last
norms?
one?
No, but what would you say it was?
Platinum.
Okay.
Yeah, it was around gold or plat, something like that.
Oh, this
Well,
one?
it's pretty decent
is
mechanics.
Gold 1
Or
Vayne
the
player
other?
or Platinum
Yeah.
Vayne player.
Okay. Let's see if that's respect or disrespect. I guess we can find out if we quickly go back, grab his name, you know, throw it in the OPGGs and see how he's actually
what
doing,
was it?
rather than just going for the
do it
YouTube
live.
highlight clips. Now, quickly, you know, we're almost going back in. I'm certainly enjoying being on the desk, and I was going to give you the analysis, but look, just throw me off. I don't need to. You guys have done such a wonderful job so far. Elf Boy, Rust Dog, take us away.
Oh, we're back in the game.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Love to see it. Quick pause is a good pause as far as I'm concerned, Rusty. Good to be back. And speaking of the Dragon, straight into it for the Chiefs. So they're not really messing around at all.
No, they really are not. I feel like I need to mentally take stock of everything that's been going on again, just to kind of get us back into this game. So really waiting for the next steps here and what we're going to be seeing. The major concerns that we have moving forwards in this game is what Kyosei can provide to the team, and how Gravitas weather the storm of Chiefs being so fed through their mid and their jungle. Teleport's collapsing on them already, though.
They are indeed showstopper from Liv. Denasis is going to go backwards and forwards and into absolutely nowhere that he wants to be. So that's that. Well, it's looking like it could be a big team fight, but in the end, Gravitas just decide they want to walk away.
Well, yeah, they're doing it as 3 people, and the Chiefs spot them on vision. They're able to... Oh, wow, well, they're actually going to go straight for the Baron 20 minutes into this one. can Gravitas respond? Because it's on vision, right? The Scuttle Crab's there. It belongs to Gravitas. They know this is being done. Kisei's on a flank, but doesn't have the Spirit Rush.
Can do it pretty quickly with the Callista, so it wasn't a bad shout, I don't think, from the Chiefs. And they have forced what looks to be a potential fight. Charm did go a bit awry of Kyosei. Return damage is really not there. Azaya's going to dive on in, and he's going to have to ultimate to get back on out, but does keep his mid laner alive. So good work there. Unfortunately, can't keep Thomas Chen alive, who's just been chased down by Lived. And now it's time for Safa to drift on out of there.
Yeah, Thomas Chen goes down now. He is the perfect player, so he didn't actually do anything wrong there. That was just well played by the Chiefs. No counterplay for him in the end. But no, Chiefs will be able to get that first kill. They translate that around the map. Baron being hit is possible with their comp, but I didn't think they would commit to finishing it, and realistically they were playing to try and generate a flank angle, and they find it. We'll get to see how Thomas Chen dies. As you can tell, nothing went wrong there on his part. That was the perfect play. Almost actually did get himself a swathe, but Safa not going to be there to protect him.
Yeah, look, only so much you can do as an ADC when you're getting chased down by an Evelyn that's already got 3 kills and a set that also has a Stride Breaker. You know, you're just not escaping that, even with all of your summoners up. Unless someone's there to help you out, and unfortunately there wasn't really anyone close enough. Safa was hanging around in the river. Overall, Chiefs are just finding these small advantages and converting them into bigger and bigger leads. It's now 9-3. Gold leads ballooned out to nearly 5k. They've got 2 dragons. It's over the one that Gravitas have got. So there hasn't been like a big team fight. There hasn't been a big breaking point for Gravitas, but it's just been small advantages piling up for Chiefs, and now they're starting to look like an almost unstoppable force in this game.
Yeah, and to be clear, I don't think the Chiefs ever want that team fight. There's no real need for it. They have a decent team fight in comp, but they're better off playing for picks constantly. You know, try and get mid priority, sure, or get priority in the side lane where the Ahri is, bring the Ahri to the fight, because an Ahri and an Evelyn have insane pick potential. So they probably want to continue playing the game out exactly how it has been so far. You're looking at Gravitas saying, can they even find those team fights? Because navigating the map right now is dangerous at all times. We've very rarely seen Thomas Shen on the same map as the rest of his team, and we've seen even less of Kyosei because he's being targeted and dying.
Has been pretty rough for Kyosei. Every time I see him throw Unleashed Power out, it does like 10% of someone's HP. He just doesn't have the kill threat right now to be scary at all on Syndra. So Gravitas starting to lose control of their jungle topside as well. Look at how fearless Dragku is. He's got no vision in the Wraith Bush, and he's still just walking forward to destroy some Rek'Sai tunnels.
You know, one interesting point about this game, just while we're in a bit of a lull waiting for the fight to start, is it's almost impossible to build Merc trades if you're the Chiefs. Gravitas' composition, in terms of their crowd control, is pretty much knock-up only. So it's very difficult to ever consider Merc trades. And if they got ahead early, Gravitas could have been really, really difficult to deal with. Thankfully for the Chiefs, of course, they are the ones who got fed early, so not the case, but just an interesting thought to ponder.
This is getting a little bit too close for comfort, I'd say, for Gravitas. Chiefs getting the Baron down to half HP before...
They know now.
Now, Gravitas are starting to have a look. It looks like they've got the timing okay. This will be the big fight they're looking for. Unstoppable Onslaught is great. Safa, the knock-up. Surely not. Surely Gravitas can't turn it around from here. Oh my word, look at the damage coming through. The combo was so good for Gravitas. And Thomas Shen, he gets so many of those kills. How many was that?
I mean, it was a triple for Thomas Shen, and Boehmer's just going to fall here as well. The Void Rush comes in, and they're able to hit that one home. Chiefs lose 4 members. And Gravitas basically stopped the Baron buff from existing in its entirety. Only Kisei with it remaining. Mid lane outer turret falls as well. Suddenly we're in a position where the Chiefs have given just a little bit too much over, perhaps. We'll see this fight one more time. Safa goes huge. The smite, if that went the way of Azus, which is nearly impossible, I have to say, against an Evelyn, then that would have just been devastating. But they'll secure the objective, and that matters most.
What a sick engage from Safa, though. And a pretty good follow-up as well from Azaya. I mean, it just all came up perfectly for Gravitas in that fight. Not to mention the fact that those kills have gone on to Thomas Shen, which is you know, a Kai'Sa, a champion that can really just start to take a game away when he gets fed. And I mean, that's a real lifeline for Gravitas. You talk about Gravitas glory. Well, that might actually be it in a nutshell. And they need the Cinderella story this week to get into playoffs. That's the start. That's the start of a Cinderella story, you know?
They were thrown a bone and a half with that play. Really, you would expect this Baron buff to fizzle out just a little bit more now. There's no Dragon to secure as well because Gravitas locked that one down. So it buys even more time and delays the Soul as a point of consideration. We are at this point in the game where one more positive thing for Gravitas and they're in it.
Yeah.
One more mistake and it's hard though.
Thomas Shen just instantly buys Runehands. I think he had like a dagger or something before that fight. So he's just got a full item out of that, and it's a big important item as well for the Kai'Sa. I mean, Gravitas, they're still in it. And Chiefs, you know, this is the kind of thing where it's like Chiefs in a nutshell. It always seems to happen. They get themselves into a good spot, and then something goes wrong, and then the game's more difficult than it really should be. Look, they're still in the lead. They still have the advantage. It's 5k gold ahead, and they've still got control of this game. But can't afford to be doing that against a team like Gravitas. You definitely can't be affording to do that against the better teams when, or if, I should say, they do get into playoffs.
Yeah, 100%. Like, this isn't the proof that they're the perfect team or in perfect form coming into playoffs by any means. If Gravitas, or like if Chiefs are the bar, then Gravitas have proven they're able to challenge it. Doesn't give much confidence. When you look the other way, Baron buff was used to break a couple of structures. Chiefs actually very nicely controlled the bot side blue buff quadrant vision. But then they also pushed their way into the red side to get a couple of wards down as well. So they have overexerted themselves and are due a reset for extra vision. They're not going to push any further, and like you would expect, the Baron buff will fizzle after just a small advantage game.
Teleport going down into the bot lane. Looks like Azus is in a spot of bother. Certainly has his avenues to actually get out of here, but it's all depending on what route he decides to take, and that probably wasn't the one. He's going to try and die to the turret, but he's not going to be able to in time. The collapse is there. Dragku on top. And the kill goes over to Lived. That's an unfortunate moment for Gravitas, you know, because that really relieves any... Not that there was a lot of pressure on Chiefs, but it does relieve anything that was, right? 30 seconds here where Azus now is just sitting in base, and it's another chance for Chiefs to just start pushing those waves in and causing Gravitas a bit of a headache.
That irks me a little bit, though, because I feel like you've got a Rek'Sai with Flash with Prowler's Core available. Maybe you can just go toward the teleport, and you might have enough distance to cover to get yourself out alive. But now he's gone, sacrifices himself, and Chiefs buy a boatload of space to set up their vision to prevent Gravitas from existing because the Evelynn is terrifying.
I mean, the good news for Gravitas is that they have really good wave clear across the board. Sion with those Qs, jump them down, and obviously Syndra combined with Kai'Sa, you're able to pretty much one-shot the wave. So it's quite difficult for Chiefs to actually siege at the moment without a Baron, anything like that.
Once again, you'll just expect to see Chiefs waiting for picks. Their avenue into this game is singular kills. They look for one person. Team fights are then a lot easier to follow up on afterwards. Gravitas need a lot more than that. They need those big Sapphire ultimates. They need those big stuns, perhaps from Kyosei, or headbutt pulve combos from Isaiah on this Alistar. Flank angles, definitely something worth looking at for Gravitas as well. But they're still 5,000 gold down, so easier said than done. And like we highlighted before, the amount of vision difference. This is the first moment we've really seen them able to push out of their base and establish a zone of control.
Shoving that mid-wave again. Dragon coming up shortly, so Chiefs doing their due diligence. The way you want to see things go is shove mid lane in, get vision control, and then rotate over to the Dragon while Gravitas are starting to push that wave back on out. Now, there's a bit of an interesting response from Gravitas here in that they've decided, all right, if you guys want to go for Dragon, we're going to gamble ourselves on the Baron. See if that's going to be enough pressure for the Chiefs. Doesn't look like it. So Gravitas are forced to return to mid, clear that wave out. It's a bit of a game of cat and mouse right now, and I think Chiefs are winning it.
Yeah, I mean, the timing isn't there to be able to hit the Baron on spawn. Dragon will basically be done already. So They're just going to bait in the area. They're actually all sitting in a single bush, which is risky.
That's also not fooling anyone because the blue trinket comes down. They see that the Baron hasn't taken any damage.
They also, I mean, Chiefs are just not fighting this. Like, Mboma is over at the red buff, so they are going to kick this off. Azus needs to keep some health about him, and Safa can tank, and Mboma's not here.
Yeah, someone's going to need to start this fight, though, pretty quickly for Gravitas, although Mboma seems to have rotated up now.
Putting themselves
it's
on a clock.
no longer a 4v5. Kisei's gone into mid. He's going to shove that mid tower. I mean, Gravitas are in all sorts right now. They're
just losing.
Have to fight. Unstoppable Onslaught goes through the middle, scores a field goal. Dragku, what an engage. The Magnet Storm, so damn good. Kisei is going to be jumped upon by Thomas Shen, but that really does not matter at this point. The damage is all there for the Chiefs. Azaya low, Kiyose low, Thomas Shen low, and the Chiefs find the fight that they've been looking for. That was pretty special from Dragku.
Yeah, fantastic engage from the Rel, but it's Gravitas putting themselves into a hole that enabled that to happen in the first place. They make the decision, the snap call, that they're going to play around the Baron. They can't decide if they want to hit the Baron or recall, and at that point, you know, Chiefs have gotten everything on the map. They've got mid lane priority, which is something that Gravitas initially had, but they threw it away, and now they're going to lose the whole game from it.
Yeah, certainly an unfortunate way to see the game go. Azaya will do his best to delay. You've got Aces coming up in 4 seconds, but past that, it's still a long time for the rest of the players. Doesn't look like the damage is quite there for Chiefs. They will give the respect over to Gravitas that they do deserve and back away.
I feel like that's because Swaith and Kisei just weren't there. I mean, Swaith was chasing the Scion for a while, but I mean, realistically, if they had 5 people there, I think they could have threatened for the end straight up in one push. That does mean that Baron stays on the cards. It does mean that Gravitas will actually get a respawn off, and they will have what you could call a fighting chance. They still have vision, as you can see on the pit itself, so they know that Chiefs didn't do it. And in fact, they have reset, so they've got time. This is still, I'm saying all of this acknowledging that the Chiefs are definitely the favorites to close this game out in one more team fight, but like, they've given opportunity now.
Look, I mean, we've seen time and time again, Gravitas, if they do get the right fight, they can win that fight, you know? And obviously with Thomas Shen having the 4 kills, 340 CS as well at this point, Rusty, he is an absolute monster. It's just a case of enabling the Kai'Sa in the fight, right? And you've got enabling tools. You've got the Scion, Unstoppable Onslaught, you've got plenty of knockups, you can get those through from Alistar, from Rek'Sai, even the stun could come through from Kiyose. It's just a question of how much time can Thomas Shen have in the fight to auto-attack uncontested? And if it's 5 or 10 seconds, maybe it works. Maybe not. We'll see. How does this engage go? Thomas Shen, all eyes on him. So far, not even a single auto-attack through. Lockett does provide a bit more HP, but the engage is way too good. In fact, I should say the counter-engage from the Chiefs is way too good. There is nothing to be done for Gravitas here. Thomas Shen fighting as best he can. Just not going to be enough, unfortunately, there, Rusty. I mean, the Guardian Angel kept him alive. The Ultimate kept him alive. He stayed up in the fight, but unfortunately, just didn't have the opportunity to do damage.
Yeah, I mean, he ults into the backline. He tries to do his best, but his best is never going to be able to take down the full roster of the Chiefs. An easy victory for them in the end, and a much more reinvigorated Chiefs. Wasn't perfect, but it was improved from the last time we saw them, particularly through their early game.
Yeah, and with that win as well, Chiefs will lock themselves into a playoffs. So we do know our 5 playoffs teams. A good result today for the Chiefs. Unfortunate for Gravitas, but they provided us an entertaining game, which is the best that we can hope for in a lot of cases. And so overall, I'm not too disappointed by what we've seen from tonight. Also, did just get my prediction right. All 3 of you got it wrong, so no complaints from me.
Must be nice to pick the favorites and get it right, hey?
It is. I mean, it ain't easy being the best at predictions, apart from Juice. And speaking of, we've got Mac back in, and he's pretty good at predictions as well. So 4 from 4 today, Mac.
You
did really good. You did a really good job.
You stop, all right?
Listen, I'm not the one that ate a man's chicken, okay?
Yeah, look, I think I win today just because of that. Look, you guys didn't get Nectar's chook, and I did, and it was a perfectly cooked chook. So you want a chook, you know, go find Nectar on Twitter, give him a DM, say, mate, go and hook me up. Now, look, this game, though, Chiefs doing a marvellous job to get over the line. Gravitas, you know, there were moments where it looked like they could have maybe turned the tides, but of course it did not happen. Now, I want to quickly ask a few questions. So that Rek'Sai, finally get to see a bit of Rek'Sai here in the LCO. It's a direct counter to Swaith there, right? But it didn't seem to be the case because Swaith kept stealing everyone's gold.
Well, the thing with League of Legends, Mac, particularly in a competitive sense, is that it's not played in the same way that rugby league is, where you form a nice orderly line and, you know, the big guy might counter the small guy in that fashion. You just avoid each other. And the ability to avoid each other is what helps propel the Evelynn into being relevant in this game. So Chiefs played it properly, but the Rek'Sai does and can be considered a counter if they ever meet in a one-on-one, yeah.
Well, in a way, you know, rugby league is also about avoiding one another and just trying to run through the gaps. But look, that's a conversation for another time, Rusty. You know, I know you're not a man of culture, of league, like myself. But look, this game in particular, you played, oh, Jesus, don't even talk to me. Now, that's yet another conversation for another time. I was always terrible at kicking balls. That's why I went for the running at people instead.
I like how this is a conversation for another time, and we've just had the conversation the whole time.
Exactly. Conversation for another time. Now, Nat, come and save us. You know, dig us out of the hole and tell us who you have from the Chiefs to have a quick chat to, and also ask if they got a chicken from Nectar as well.
I will not be asking anyone about any chickens tonight, but I do have Swaith with me. Congratulations on that win. You know, that secures the spot for playoffs for you guys. How's the mood down there with the team?
I'm pretty happy about it. Like, I think it's a pretty expected result from us. Like, even though we've been having a bit of a slump lately, like we got 0-3 last week, we're all pretty confident that we'd be able to play the win tonight.
I mean, it did see that you guys had the weekend to work on some stuff, so it's very great to see you guys come back and secure the win. Talk to me a little bit about the draft, especially the confidence to pick Ari into Kyosei, knowing full well that that is a champ that he loves to play.
Yeah, well, we kind of talked about it a bit as a team, and obviously Ari's a bit of a power pick in the meta right now, and Kyosei has just been spamming it. He's been like climbing with it in solo queue, so we kind of just felt like if we just first picked it, there's nothing he can really pick into it because he's not really like someone who has like those weird or wacky counter picks. He's more of like a supportive player for his team. So yeah, like we just felt like it would completely deny them if we first picked it.
Well, I guess that tactic has definitely paid off for you guys. It felt that the early game was a little bit slower in terms of just, I don't know, it didn't feel like as fast-paced as we have seen some games from you before. Walk me through the laning phase and all the way onto like the Baron fights.
Yeah, so with the kind of comp we drafted, like especially just like me playing Evelynn, obviously like I'm kind of a slow champ till 6, like I can't really impact the map very much unless like, you know, they like horribly mispositioned. So really like what was like a win for us in the early game, even if it was slow, was like splitting the map through bot side. So like the Rek'Sai wasn't really able to like achieve much. He wasn't able to invade me, wasn't able to kill me. So that's basically like a big win in the matchup. So yeah, and then leading up to the Baron fights, I felt like we were just like taking favorable skirmishes around Ariel. So really, it felt pretty clinical for the most part. Besides, obviously, like just I don't know, ruining the Baron fight. But yeah, it was like just pretty standard, I think.
I do want to hear a little bit more about that Baron fight because I'm not gonna lie, sitting here watching, I was a little bit nervous for you guys. I thought, is this Gravitas's way back into the game? But I want to hear from you how you guys were feeling after it, how you came back to secure the win, and what you think went wrong in that fight.
Yeah, so we were pretty nervous. I mean, I can speak for myself. I was very nervous. Like after we like lost that Baron, it was kind of like, hang on, like what's going on, guys? You know, this isn't meant to be happening. I think it really was just like a difference in comms. Like a lot of people were like on different pages in that fight, and that like, you know, usually is a recipe for chaos. That, and it's hard after coming back from like a pause for a long time. Like it messes with your mind, I think, a little bit, like in terms of like your objectives for the game. So yeah, I think as soon as like we like, you know, took a second to like regain our composure, I would say, after the Baron, like we started playing 12-win condition again, and then it was just, easy from there.
Well, thank you so much for joining me and giving me some insight onto that game, and congratulations again on making it to playoffs.
That's a good. Thanks very much.
Oh, I was really hoping there'd be a serious question about the lane tax in there. Unfortunately, might be a conversation for another time. Now, moving forward, let's have a quick chat. So next 2 play days, is it a situation where it's just for fun and Pentanet trying to just keep their track record at this point, or is it going to be more just about the shuffling of where the top 5 are going to be standing?
I don't think it's just for fun, Mac. I think there is a bit of a discussion to be had around where exactly everyone's going to sit in that top 5. We'll obviously have a look at the standings before we close the show today. I'd be quite interested to see exactly what the implications of today's results could be on the rest of the week. You know, is there a situation where Order can boost themselves up a little bit further? Can Direwolves take 2nd place, etc., etc.? These are the questions that we have to ask. Obviously, for the likes of Legacy, Mammoth, Gravitas, then it'll be interesting to see what they kind of pull out. It's the opportunity for them to throw some curveballs and to ruin some dreams. But definitely, big impact can be made in terms of where you end up in the season as to what happens in playoffs. If you get an easier run through playoffs, why aren't you going to take that?
Well, look, you've asked for it, and production have provided. Let's bring up the standings where everyone's currently sitting at the end of today. And as you can see, there it is, 5 teams all locked in. Chiefs, Order, Direwolves, Peace, and Pentanet. And it looks like, in the end, 6 was, Rusty, the magic number.
Yeah, we managed to get to the number. We weren't sure if it would change, however. You know, if the teams at the bottom were continuing to get some wins on the board, that may have gone up to a 7. But at the end of the day, here we are. We've got our top 5. And like mentioned just before, there is still some standings implications to be fighting for. The tragedy for Legacy, Gravitas, and Mammoth, who I will say, I don't think any of those teams came in looking to do well in Split 1. Like, they obviously, if they did do well, they would have been happy. But there's a lot of development going on in those 3 rosters. So the fact that the split ends like this for them should not be a surprise to anyone.
I reckon they've certainly learnt a lot in this time. You know, still 2 more days to play for them as well, at least. And there's been a lot of takeaways. There's been a lot of silly buggers running around. And, you know, they've certainly learnt from their mistakes throughout the season. You know, I really wish that Gravitas got to play that Nocturne Fiddle combo more than the once, but it just kept getting target banned. And I guess the other storyline that leaves us with is, you know, when is Amumu going to be picked this week? But look, that's a story for another time. We do actually have the play of the day ready, and it's... No, I'm not going to tell you. What do you reckon it is, guys? Go, you know, left to right, Jordan.
I've got Drag, who's engaged from that last fight. I thought that was sick. Again, bit of support love, so maybe I'm biased, but love to see a good engage from the Rel, so that's my vote. Okay, Rusty?
I have nothing. I'm just going to pick a game, and I'm going to say the top lane fight between Legacy and Direwolves.
Okay, and Nat, what about you?
Rusty picked the same game as me, but I'm pretty sure there was an ace from the Direwolves team, and that's... I think there were only 2 aces tonight. One in the game we just watched and the Direwolves Legacy game. So I think I'm going to go for the Direwolves ace. I think that's what it was.
All right, well, I'm not going to keep you waiting any longer. It is the Master Fisherman, the baiter extraordinaire only, with his huge bait on, what was it, 110 HP.
Oh.
Very low, managed to just fully... Look at this, Sybil on the hook, constantly, flashes back in, just completely leaves the rest of his team in his dust, and there you go, Cupcake and Shock saying, hello, 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 what are you doing in the brush over here?
You're not going to like looking at that one if you're Civil. I mean, that is just hook, line, and sinker. And the worst part of it as well was that only still had Zhonya's, by the way. So even if he gets to this point and it looks like he's going to die, if he can't outrun the Udyr, pop the Zhonya's. His teammates aren't there to help him out. And obviously, Direwolves have the reinforcements running straight on through. So, yeah, bamboozled completely.
What an angler, mate. That was perfect. It's weird, though. I feel like only, you know, he doesn't seem like the kind of guy to, you know, go and have a bit of a fish. He seems pretty reluctant, you know. Looks more like an inside kind of guy. Anyway, look, that's judging a book by its cover 100% of the time. And that's something I'm very good at, but you should never do. So learn from my mistakes as well. Now, let's have a quick look at the schedule for tomorrow and see which games are going to be coming up then. Kicking things off, we got Peace and Pentanet. Woo! It's always at the early slot. It's like banger match, kicking things off, 6 p.m. All right, well, I hope everyone's here early to see that one. 7 p.m. Gravitas and Direwolves. Let's see what Gravitas do now. They're out of contention. Might be able to pull some crazy damn plays difference in the draft. Who knows? Mammoth and the Chiefs again. This is going to be another tester for the Chiefs, making sure that they can get these matches that matter across the line. Legacy and Order at the end of the day. And now that's another one where there's some upset potential, even though Order's already locked in their spot. So have we got the same lineup tomorrow? Are you going to be here, Jordan, Rusty?
I am
Nope.
not.
We will not.
Oh,
but
the full swap.
I do like what you're saying about that Order Legacy game, by the way, remembering that Legacy did actually beat Order last time they played. So as far as Order's concerned, it's a pretty important game. They're fighting for that 4th, 5th spot right now with the Chiefs. If Chiefs get the win over Mammoth, you know, they're probably likely to do so. They'll be looking at 7-6. So I think there's a fair bit to think about there for Order. They don't want to be going into playoffs in quote-unquote last place.
Well, yeah, I think Order's run compared to Chiefs is a lot more difficult coming into playoffs. So I think there is actually a really high chance that we're going to see the ladder with Order at the bottom going into playoffs. Because if you have contention for potentially top seed between Pentanet and Peace as our first game, and then you have contention for last spot as our last game tomorrow. So there's a space for the two tops and the 2 bottoms to swap around.
There you go. Let's see if the shuffle continues. Let's see if there's some chaos in the ranks. Quickly, before we close the show, Jordan, I do have some chicken left over. If you're hungry, please feel free to come over and help me devour the good chook. Love a bit of poultry. But that brings us to the end of the day. Look, same time, same place tomorrow. Ladies and gents, we'll see you then.
Maybe not. Lisa wants to get into the mix, but there is the passive uptime for Violet, and he's going to be able to chase Shinky down. Does connect the W. That's the slow. That's all that's really required. It feels like Super Mega Death Rocket missed.
Horizon, the likes we've never seen.
Then you call that lock gap. There's a Zonya out as well, and that's actually from Violet, who was caught, but now is not, and turns things back around. Hang on. This could well be a Penta in the... Doesn't look too good here, Rusty. Vengeance is going to die in the midst of Pentanet, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Puma dives onto Praedyth. Hang on a second. But Maximize now arrives. Doesn't have Mega Nun. Nearly gets blown up. But the focus turns right onto Pabu, who just gets away. Puma's got no mana here at all, and Maximize is still so far away from Mega that has gone horribly wrong for Order. Surely Maximize doesn't die here as well. Chaz is going to try and chase him down. Oh, dearie me. Waits it out. Now uses the flash, but that forces Sybil through as well. He's not quite fast enough to chase him down. He's been baited so nicely. That was clean from Only. Absolutely clean as a whistle. And Crab jumps over the wall, decides now is my time as the AD carry. Now is my time as the Tristana to get some resets. Looks for more onto Sybil, but won't have the damage there. Still, the fight's going nicely for Dials, and Cupcake continues to get into the mix. If it's 5 or 10 seconds, maybe it works. Maybe not. We'll see. How does this engage go? Thomas Chen, all eyes on him. So far, not even a single auto attack through. Lockett does provide a bit more HP, but the engage is way too good. In fact, I should say the counter engage from the Chiefs is way too good. There is nothing to be done for Gravitas here. Thomas Chen fighting as best he can.